Well, as public figures, politicians are expected to be in the firing line when it comes to criticism. New research, though, indicates MPs and senators are copping the brunt of online hate and conspiracy theories exacerbated through the pandemic. Experts are warning the risk is not dissipating with the threat of COVID. Dr. Alexia Maddox is a sociology of technology expert whose research focuses around online cultures and social implications of emerging technology. She joins me now. Thanks for your time. With a lot of people, the obvious story is we're locked down and angry during lockdowns. How much were politicians sort of copping it in terms of threats, and are we able to sift through what was, was there a big increase in serious threats that the AFP were concerned about?
We do know that there has been an increase in threats over the last 2 years, for example. So that kind of documentation is linked to the real social instability that has come because of the pressure cooker environment of the pandemic, and also the greater range of uncertainty of information and the types of disinformation that are always, being pushed through the media system in the social media space.
On the prospect of this, it's spoken about that this threat hasn't gone away. In the real fire of COVID, people were locked down. They had their freedoms limited like they never had done before. We had people having to get a vaccine or they'd lose their job. Why has that not dissipated that sort of online hate, I suppose, when we do have basically all of our freedoms back?
I think there's some underlying social problems that the pandemic really revealed, and so you often have vulnerable communities that are feeling disenfranchised, and they really take these kind of issues of trust with government to heart because of their long history. So you've got that kind of element going in that's unstable, but you also have the online cultures, the different hate groups and the different, the alt-right and far-right groups that are actually sending messaging through that's trying to shape how some of these targeted and vulnerable communities are reacting. And so that long-term social fabric problem is really just being exacerbated and really brought to the surface because of these issues and the uncertainty of the environment. So unfortunately, we do have these freedoms, but the polarisation and the grief and the trauma, that has not gone away, and we see that really expressing in social media.
I must admit, I sometimes see posts from politicians and wonder why they sort of stick their head above the parapet, because they can put any post up that just announces a simple regulation update or whatever it might be, and it's mostly vitriol they're met with. Is there a bit of a question mark on whether just the same approach from a politician, here's a post on Facebook, here's a post on Twitter, and all the hate they get back, is it worth it? Are some politicians trying sort of different tactics so they're not a victim of that, I guess?
I think that it's really important for politicians to be prepared, to be visible in these environments. They are contentious, but they also are productive. So obviously the reason that we use social media is because it's a platform through which we can get messaging across to the audiences that we want to engage. And so that power has not gone away. And so the benefits of engagement and visibility in social media, it's still outweighs perhaps these risks. And so I think politicians and particularly the quality people that we want to come into the political domain need to be prepared to be able to work in these environments. And what we do know in research, for example, is what you see is just more of the sort of extreme narratives, and particularly those ones that are more extreme get bumped up and made more visible because of the types of engagement and algorithmic driving that puts those messages forward, and the way that people think about those messages, it really sort of shows that shift. So whenever I'm working with social media information, I know that I'm missing the sort of like the normal middle ground, and I'm just seeing the sort of the extremes of the debate. So it's important to understand that it's only one part of the picture, and that social media still retains that power for audience outreach and message visibility, as well as for politicians to be able to engage their constituents. So it's that understanding the power of it, but also understanding the kinds of measures that you need to take to be able to be visible in these spaces with, your standard PR and marketing support for understanding how you build reputation and authenticity and audience engagement, but also being able to distance yourself from the fact that some of these things are extreme, and to protect your own emotional and physical safety as well.